Dear everybody, this is Asit Bansali. I'm so happy to invite Mr. Babu, a prominent chartered accountant, more than 25 years of experience he has in wealth management and all. He is one of the directors at the company which is known as Sherpa Investments Private Limited. Prior to that, Babu has got vast knowledge in the past. He was a co-founder of Pelican Wealth. Plus, he was associated with Algo Capital. I would like to say that, with the kind of basically just wealth management, he's so blended as a person on social part of life where he's contributed a lot and on an ongoing basis on various projects by Rotary Club at Chennai and all. So to have a blend of a chartered accountant, wealth management, so much of vast experience of 25 years plus social, and not to leave out, he's penned a book which is just every page, every line one needs to read again and again. So a multifaceted, multidimensional. I just can't believe to hear him. Guys, let's have all ears on Babu. Babu, all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Asit. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dhruv. Thank you, Rupa and FIFA for having me here. It's always a pleasure uh, talking to our fellow friends of fraternity of advisors. I'm one among you, just sharing a couple of thoughts that just kind of I happen to be lucky to kind of imbibe. So I think it's an opportunity for me to spend the next hour or so kind of talking to you. Friends, I like a very conversational presentation. So do not expect me to talk and you to listen. I will also expect you to kind of react to whatever I say. So I will ask for responses. So please keep your fingers ready to respond to what my questions are. Okay, so the topic today was about segmenting your way to success. Right? That's the topic that was given, but it's actually a wrong topic, my friend. Right? The topic should have been, do you want to double your profits? Right? It should have actually been, do you want to double your profits? And that's the question I'm going to ask of you. So if you can quickly come on chat and quickly put down how many of you want to double your profits? Just say yes on the chat window so that I can see Rajan, Ram Mohan, Dutt, me, yes, 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 more Manish, yes, Manish. Oh my God, Manish, you'll
yes,
make that much profits, that much more profits, yes.
He just doesn't want to double, I think.
He wants to make it 4 times. Absolutely, Manish. Yes. Viren, yes, double AUM, yes. Hemant, absolutely, absolutely. Fantastic, guys. Thank you. Now I know you're all raring to go. Fabulous. Now, can any of you tell me what is the formula for profits? Right? We know the great guys, right? I mean, you guys are sitting in, most of you are sitting in Mumbai. That's where the Ambanis are, and you really know, they have unlocked the secret to making profits, right? Now, in my mind, profit is very simple, yeah. It's the number of hours into profit per hour. I mean, can we define that as the profit? I mean, how we generate profit is the number of hours into profit per hour. So there are 2 components to making profits, therefore, right? It is number of hours into things. And let's say, I don't think this has changed the last 1 lakh years, maybe more, that there are 24 hours a day. Right? That factor has not changed at all. Whether it is you, me, Dhruv, or Mukesh Ambani, all of us have the same 24 hours a day, right? Now, that number of hours into profit per hour, that figure for you and me could be different. For Mr. Ambani could be a very different figure. Am I right? Now, so as it turns out that the number of hours obviously are defined by nature, so it cannot be changed. It's the profit per hour that can be changed. And that profit per hour, how do you change that? How do you make that bigger? That's what we're going to spend time today talking, my friends. And I'm going to kind of quickly share a presentation with you. and I'm going to kind of take you through what my thoughts are. If I'm at a profit level of X, at the end of 6 months, can I have X to the power of 2? That's the question. And this presentation, I can tell you, if you imbibe the concepts that are embedded inside this and put it to practice, by March of 2022, you can actually see double profits of your business. Right? I can't use the word guarantee because I'm a mutual fund distributor, but short of that, that's what this is all about. Yeah.
Right.
So I hope you can see my screen. So this is how our practice looks, my friend, and not just yours, every of ours. Right? So one side you have the, and this is a common perception we all have, right? So we are pulling businesses in multiple angles. One day morning I get up, I want to run an SIP book because somebody has posted in a group that he has done in one single day 100 SIPs, right? So I think that day it must be the elephant's trunk that I want. So I want to do 100 SIPs. So that whole day, the next 3 days, I'm struggling to do SIPs. The next day, somebody posts in my group, some other friend, advisory friend posts that, I have collected a check worth 1 crore. Right? Then it becomes the tusk of the elephant. So I'm catching hold of that. I'm trying to say, how can I do my crore? And then somebody is holding the trunk. The elephant is the same, but we are all seeing it in bits and pieces, and we are trying to do it all together. That's the problem. We are also trying to do the SIP competition. We are also trying to do the lump sum competition. We are also doing different things with the same. But never putting all of this together and looking at what is it that my practice needs and how do I blend this in a way in which it benefits my practice. And that's what we're going to talk about in segmentation. Before that, I'm going to go and relate a quick story that we're all familiar with, but just so that we all understand, right? This happened many millennia ago. So there is a guru who's teaching his disciples about archery, and he calls the first disciple who's a archer, and he shows him that tree. At a faraway place. It's a wild meadow, open meadow, like a golf course. At the end, you have a big tree. And the Guruji says, now, what do you see? The guy sees, I see a vast scape of green grass. And then I see a lone tree. And I see a lot of other things. There are fields. There are people working in the fields and so on and so forth. The Guruji says, step aside, boss. The next guy comes. He asks the same question. The guy replies the same. Right? Till a guy named Arjun comes along, and the Guruji asks the same question. He says, what do you see? The guy says, I see a parrot sitting on the second branch of the tree. I see the blue eyes of that parrot. And the Guruji says, shoot and you will hit it. This story we've all heard growing up, and this is from the Mahabharata, Guru Dronacharya teaching his disciples about shooting arrows. Now, why is this relevant in a talk with mutual fund distributors? The same story is relevant to you or me, my friend. Do we know how our customer looks? Do we have a idea of what our customer orientation is? That's really the point which we need to kind of look at. I'm just going to move to the next one. Do we have an idea of how who our customer is? That's the crux of this discussion today, and this is the topic. And why should we look at a type of customer that is? Extremely important. Is your customer somebody like a MS Dhoni? And these 4 people we all recognize, right? MS Dhoni, Ratan Tata, Alia Bhatt, and Nirmala Sitharaman. And why am I talking about these 4 people? These 4 people fall in 4 different age brackets. Alia Bhatt is probably in her 20s. MS Dhoni is probably in his early 40s or late 30s, or for early 40s. Nirmala Sitharaman is probably in her 50s and early 60s, and Ratan Tata is in his 70s. Friend, while these are popular figures, the needs of each of these customers are very distinctly different. I hope you agree. Ratan Tata will not have the same needs of Alia Bhatt or will not have the same needs of MS Dhoni. Neither will Nirmala Sitharaman have the same risk appetite as an MS Dhoni, as the case may be. Each of these people are very distinct, primarily because of their age profile and the need and their things. But what do we do as as investment advisors? We want all four of them. We want an MS Dhoni, we want a Ratan Tata, we want an Alia Bhatt, we want an Nirmala Sitharaman. What happens in this process is that your organization gets structured with clients of a variety of needs. So you're constantly running to fulfill each need, very different needs at that. And there is no homogeneity in the group at all, which is where one needs to look at a process of segmentation. Any business, for it to succeed, it must have a customer persona in place. And I don't deal with, I know that many people don't look at the mutual fund distribution business as a business, but I urge you for the next 30 minutes, please think of it as a business. Before somebody introduces an automobile in the business, they exactly know what is the profile of the person they are trying to target it for. Before any single person creates a product for the market, they exactly know what is that customer they are thinking. It's not for somebody else, it's only for that narrow bracket. I mean, Volkswagen has launched a new SUV car called Taygun just yesterday or today. And I was reading that interview, and if you get a chance, please read the newspapers. Their marketing manager is so clear about who it is meant for. Right? If you read that interview, you will exactly be able to picture the face of the person he is trying to reach out to. It's not one young techie or a young person. It's not somebody very old either. It's somebody who has used an automobile, been used to a sedan earlier, now wants to graduate, but does not want to graduate to a bigger SUV, wants to get into a medium SUV, a first jump. And that's the person he's targeting. So if you look at the criteria that he puts together, you can actually picture the guy who he's talking about. And that's really what segmentation is all about. Now, the concept of customer persona has been existent from time immemorial, except that very few businesses, especially in the services base, understand what customer persona is and why it is important. In my own case, my friend, I spent, as Asit said at the beginning, I spent about 25 plus years. It's only in the last 2 or 3 years that I have come to understand who actually is my customer, which means if I've been able to identify that one segment of customer, then I am able to tune out 15 other profiles that are not my customer, right? I am not chasing SIPs. I have a AUM book of something about 170 crores, and my SIP book is about 75 lakhs, but I'm not ashamed, right? That's not what I'm chasing. My customer persona or my customer profile does not have an immense contribution to SIP. So be it. It doesn't matter. But am I true to that customer group that I'm serving? So just as an example, after long search, we have arrived at this, that we brilliantly serve that middle-age profile person. What do I mean by middle-age? Somebody at the age of 50 and above. So 99% of my current customers are 50 years and above only. The 1% comes out of their children who are also part of the business, so we need to take them on board or something of that nature, but nothing that we have gone and acquired ourselves. So we look after a middle age. So our vision statement, anything we do, we approach it with the idea that there is a middle-aged person. Now, this customer persona is so important. I know that we've all heard this organization called Amazon. right? When Jeff Bezos was creating Amazon, and I believe it is true even today, that in the boardroom of Amazon, there is an empty chair that is left empty for the customer. And whenever any proposal is spoken, Jeff Bezos always asks this final question, is that, will this proposal make the life better for that guy who's sitting in that chair? Of course, it's an imaginary figure of that customer, but his constant question or constant strive is, will this proposal, will it make more profits? Will it make more money for the organization? All that's fine. But he asked the simple question because Amazon is the epitome of customer service, an organization that is deeply focused at the customer, right? Which is why they are so large and they're so profitable and they're so huge. So he keeps asking this question, that will this make sense to that customer out there? So which is the degree to which organizations which are hugely successful have gone to identify the customer persona is exceptionally important. What I'm trying to say is that if we take cognizance, if we take recognition of the fact that who is our customer and we go deep into serving his needs better, then our profits is bound to jump. And I'll explain this as we go. What is the customer segment that you reach out to? That's really what this discussion. So it can be many different profiles, like we saw in the earlier. It can be somebody who are millennials, right? Who just started jobs, started working, or it could be somebody in their 30s, it could be somebody in their 40s, it could be somebody in their 50s or retired. It can also be different profiles like businessmen, so on and so forth. The reason you need to segment is that service that you offer to each of them is very different from one another. If you're offering advice to a millennial, you have to offer it on an electronic media. No millennial wants to talk. They want to read. They want it on their mobile phone, or they want it to see it on an app. They don't want to. They don't want to speak to you at all. So you cannot speak to a millennial. I don't know how many of you will have that experience. I have two young teenagers at home, so we have to. If tea is ready or dinner is ready, we have to put it up on our WhatsApp chat. Dinner ready, please join at the dining table. That's how teenagers are dealt with today. You can't call them. But it's true at a certain level. They respond better to a software or a IT solution than the physical solution that most of us are used to. At least if you are in the 50+ age profile, then you're used to a physical presence. Also, marketing to a homogeneous group is easier. If you're already having a bunch of doctors, reaching out to the next doctor is much more easier than if you're trying to do all of it at the same place. If you're already talking to a 50-year-old guy, happens that he's hanging out with other 50-year-old people or 60-year-old people. So it's easier for you to reach out to that target segment than trying to be all over the place. More importantly, I'll give you a classic example. Since I mentioned doctors, so when doctors come in as clients, they rarely know what they want. So they, at the end of the day, after the year is done, or even during the course of the year, there are capital gains reports. So September 15, they need to file advance tax. Their auditor is after them to get the statements. Since most of the investments are visible to us, we are aware of their capital gains situation. They aren't. Somewhere along the line, we discovered this very early. So for professionals, chartered accountants, doctors, and architects, first week of September, we send a statement across to all of their auditors. If not for auditors, but if it's an architect to his auditor, to a doctor to his auditor, the workings for them for April to September, all their capital gains, dividend statements, and interest statements, all of it, we send it directly, even without them asking. We don't wait for them to ask. What this does, my friend, is that it builds a certain rapport between the client and you, that he goes about talking about us to his other doctor friends, because his life is very miserable before we came along, because he doesn't understand the statements. The investment advisor would not have given him the statement in advance. He would have sent it later. Simple stuff. Right? But just by understanding this profile of customers and serving them better, you are able to attract more doctors into your foray, because they believe that that segment gets served really, really well. So a variety of ways, from starting from a low-cost marketing strategy to a customer referral program, to finally providing services to customer, as long as the group is very similar, the segment that you're targeting is very similar, becomes very, very, very simple and easy to serve. And that's where segmentation is far more profitable. If you remember, I didn't mention that you will make more AEM, but I said you will make more profits, because for the same time, you will serve lot more customers, and lot more customers within the same time will mean lot more profits to you. There can be a variety of segmentation. As we grow, we need to look at growth in a variety of ways. So I can have a geographical segmentation. Many companies prefer to do a geographical. So if you have a company that is dealing in some kind of a product or service, they prefer to, because you can't you may have a limitation on the marketing budget, or you may have a limitation on your ability to service a large market. So like, for instance, large part of our clients are in Chennai and Bangalore, and of course, NRIs, but we don't have much of clients in Delhi, Bombay, for instance. We don't have too much of geographical presence there. So we are limited by geographical presence. You may also have a case where you segment or you deal with customer based on the profile of entity. Is it an individual, or is it a corporate, or is it a charitable trust? Every segment in India, with the kind of population that we have, every segment has millions and millions of people. So if you're going to be an MFD and say, I'm only going to deal with corporates, I'm not going to deal with individuals, I can tell you, if you steadfast focused on that and do all your research, all your marketing, all your products towards that segment, you will have a reasonably good practice going in that space. Or if you focus on the charitable side, I know a couple of MFDs who focus on the charitable organization space. There are sizable AEMs that they have built. And again, it's a relationship business. So you understand what the client needs and you build the base. One charitable organization refers you to another, or blah, 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 and your business grows. Gender-based. We've not seen much here, but I can tell you, I interact with some of my counterparts in the other parts of the world, in US. You have financial advisors or financial planners exclusively for single women, widowed women, or divorced women. So the segment for women alone is kind of cut into 20 different parts. And there are exclusive advisors for them, because they understand exactly the pain points of a person, of a divorced woman. What are her financial needs? What is that she needs to do? What are those tax breaks that she will need to enjoy? What are those investment products that are must have for somebody like her? They have done it all. They're specialists in that. We are yet to get there, but there's a large business that you need to look at, and that business is huge, my friend. And India being India, you will have large numbers in every segment of this market. We have not even scratched the surface in this business, believe me. Of course, like I said, my own organization, we have an age profile based segmentation. So we look at people who are upwards of 50 years. So that's a age profile based segment. You can have community based segment. You can have segmentation. This is like cutting the pizza in any number of ways you want, right? But what you're essentially doing is that every day when I spend my 12, 14 hours in the office, what am I chasing? Am I chasing that one thing which matters to me? Or am I chasing something like a headless chicken running all over the place? Or am I just kind of focused on one thing?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Monday.
Babu, it's okay. I'll tell Dhruv. I'll tell Dhruv. Ronald,
4 बजे गौतम मिलेगा, but
Okay, Dhruv is fixing an appointment for all of us. So some examples of segmentation. We have a variety. I don't know which type of practice you follow in. Based on client profile, you now have a flurry of family offices, H&I practice, mass affluent, retail advisory, and your business model, your marketing practices, your business setup, the number of team members, all of this will vary. The type of team members, my friend, will vary depending on what segment that you choose for yourself. A retail advisory is a numbers game. You need to be in the market. You need to do large volume. An H&I practice is a high quality advice. A family office is a high diversity and a high quality advice. Right? So each of these require a different skill set, different type of management. So you cannot say, I also want to be a retail advisor. I also want to be a family office. It's going to be difficult, not possible. So you have to pick and choose your segment that you want to think. Geriatric advisory, right? Advising elderly alone. There is a huge opportunity that's opening to be waiting to be tapped for people who will advise only people who are upwards of 70, 75 years, my friends. Huge opportunity. Believe me, nobody has even tried looking at it. Similarly, like I said, there is an opportunity for women, especially divorced and spinsters. So these are all client need based. There are a variety of different segments that one needs to focus on, but doesn't. Right? Today we are trying to do whatever business comes our way, we are trying to do. But it's extremely important in our mind to keep, if you close your eyes after this session and think who is that one client you would want to have more of in your practice, you will get that idea. Of course, there are other types which we already know. Some of us are mutual fund based. Some of us are life insurance based agents, equity broker, postal agent. Maybe at some point in time, we would have come up with some of these products. I may have been a postal agent in my earlier thing. Then I may have become a mutual fund advisor. So it may have been some transition somewhere, but it would have been based on investment products. And like I said, geography, it can be a single office, multi-city office, zonal, national, and so on and so forth. So these are all the different varieties and examples of segmentation that has been possible in the past. Now, what kind of segment will work for me depends again on the type of 4 criteria we believe is extremely important. One is, first and foremost, is we are in the knowledge business, my friends. It's an expertise-based business, right? So if you are a family office, then you must have a reasonable expertise across a variety of asset classes, not one asset class, not mutual funds alone. You must have fairly good knowledge on private equity. You must have fairly good knowledge on the working of cross-currency transactions. You must have fairly good knowledge on various other real estate and so on and so forth. Because a family office manager is essentially interested with assets not only in mutual funds or equity, but mutual funds, equity, cross-country currency, taxation, trust, a variety of different things. So he needs to have an overarching experience in all of this. So that's really what he needs to have an experience with. And then you must have some amount of understanding of that categories need. Like I said, doctors don't understand money or they don't understand numbers easily. But you have to make up for their lack, and you must have great experience. Even if they don't ask for some data, you must be able to provide it. You must be able to make the connects. That's when you make yourself invaluable to that client. And of course, if you want to have a pan-India presence, you must have capital. Right? You can't, nothing comes for free. So you need to have a large capital if you want to build a pan-India presence of offices and so on and so forth in the physical world. Same applies for an app-based setup as well. If today you want to start a fintech, say a Grove or any of those apps that are available, they have investors running into crores of rupees. So again, do we have that kind of capital? Do we have that kind of capability and investors who are willing to bet behind us, absolutely go for it. And last but not the least is demographics. What kind of client are you chasing? What segment of client are you chasing? And does that fit in with the core beliefs that you have? Is that the client you want to build on? So those are all the factors that ultimately will determine what kind of a segment of market. Is it a millennial that you are going to go after? Is it going to be the young adult? Is it going to be the middle-aged man? Or is it going to be the elderly? And of course, last is the geriatric population. So what is that? There are lots of benefits of segmentations, my friend. Of course, we all know there's a brand called Patanjali, which didn't exist 5 years ago. How did Patanjali grow? By Patanjali, I'm not just meaning Patanjali, I'm meaning all kinds of Ayurvedic and herbal kind of medicine has grown in the last 5 years because MNCs typically don't play that game, right? So those are spaces where you may not find great competition because the scale is not enough. The expertise, the depth of expertise is not enough for somebody. So if you ran, for instance, a practice that was focused entirely on one small niche segment, and let's say, for instance, we focused on divorced women's finances, right? Then that segment, you will find that over a period of time, you will be the expert where even somebody like a HDFC or an ICICI will not be able to match up because they are looking at a larger landscape. They can't go deep in one segment. They would prefer to go wide. And you will have your expertise. So eventually you will have a very distinguished presence in that space, which they cannot replicate. And of course, you can build efficiency and ability to scale is a great importance. Another classic example was Heineken was always considered for a very long time the world's largest beer manufacturer. They had plants all over the world. They were kind of doing phenomenal business. Then Budweiser came and became what is known as the largest light beer in the world. Right? So it was a segmentation game. While Heineken can still say we sell the largest number of beers, Budweiser says in the Budweiser light category, we are the largest selling. So you can cut the cookie the way you want. You can grow your pie. And eventually that's how each of us will get to shine bright in the way we want and increase profits the way we want. And of course, there are other benefits. Like I was saying, if you handle enough doctors, you will understand the underlying need of a doctor. And you will be able to serve it unsaid. It's not as if a doctor or somebody has to call you. If you worked with architects, you know that SIP doesn't work well for them, right? Because their payments are lumpy. They get lots of money, but they don't get it month on month. They get it all over time. So SIP is not good for them. You've got to look at lump sums. So if you work with different profiles of people, you know what works for them, what doesn't work for them. You can build your practice. You can customize your advice according to that. And your entire team can be far more efficiently deployed for this. Right? One of the world's greatest marketing gurus, Seth Godin, says, who precisely are you trying to reach? Do you have that mind map in your mind? Who is your customer? Friends, if you don't know that profile, and I do believe it's extremely important you spend some time searching in your mind as to who you want. Because I can guarantee you, if we kind of decide to focus on who we want, we will get what we want. The problem is we don't focus enough as to who we want as our clients. Do we want that 50 plus client? Do we want that 30 plus client? Do we want a young customer? Do we want an old customer? And it's for us to want, my friend. It's not for the customer to come and ask. And I love this statement by Henry Ford. If I had asked people what they want, they would have said faster horses, right? Every customer wants a service in a certain way, but it's for you to say how you want to serve them better. And who is your customer, right? Extremely important for you to be clear in your mind. And of course, Steve Jobs went a step ahead and said, people don't know what they want until you show it to them. Just to kind of give you a certain point that people didn't understand that why would I want a music player inside a phone? Till Steve Jobs provided it and turned their mind and said, today, if you tell a youngster that, there is something called a separate music player, he says, why would you want to have a separate music player when you can have it inside the phone, right? But there was a day when people questioned Steve Jobs in the boardroom, saying that, why do you want to keep a music player inside a phone? So, can you look at the future? I found this a breathtaking slide. Can any of you tell me what is the common component all these guys are trying to sell? Open your chat box and what is that they are trying to sell here? Yeah. Krishna says water, Dinesh says water, Falguni says water, Anil, water, Eknath. Size, no. Yeah, most of you got it here. Status, brand, etc. Santosh, Amit, trust, fair enough. But look at it in one way, right? Every bottle contains the same water. But one bottle is worth 10 rupees, another bottle is worth 6,500 rupees, right? Every financial advisor gives the same advice. But some of us are worth 10 rupees, some of us are worth 6,500 rupees. Why do you think? Think about it. How can I be worth 6,500 rupees? What does it take to be a WAS or an EVN? What should I be doing to be an EVN? And I have nothing against distillery or the railway line water that keeps being sold in the railway stations. I have nothing against it, friends. I'm not for a moment saying this is better than that. But be clear in your mind. If you are a five-star hotel, selling a cup of coffee will get you 500 rupees. If you are a roadside chai wala, selling a cup of coffee will get you 25 rupees. Very, very different business models. And I think both business models are fantastic. But you need to understand that the five-star guy will sell 20 coffees every day. The roadside wala will sell 2,000 coffees every day. Does your business organization have the capability to serve either of them? But it cannot be that you're trying to sell both 500 and 25 rupee coffee within the same organization. That's not going to work. All I'm saying is either you decide that you want to sell 2,000 25 rupee cups coffees or you want to sell 20 500 rupee cup coffees. Decide what you want in advance. And then you will find magic happening because you'll have an organization structured. You will have processes in place to serve one of the other. And that's the magic that will get you to grow your profits. Because the only way we can grow our profits is if we can pursue a certain path where we do things more efficiently and deliver greater value to clients who reach out to us. And that's really what my session is all about. I hope this was useful. I'm open for question and answers that you may take. Thank you.
I think that there is one question which is there.
Yeah.
Mr. Patel, I don't know where's it gone. Yeah. He's mentioning.
How can we choose?
Yeah. Okay.
Do we allow them to unmute and ask because I am not able to understand the context?
Ronald? Ronald, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Can you unmute all the attendees also if they want to ask live
Yes, sir.
questions?
Yeah.
So we can request Viren Patel to ask his question.
Yeah, anybody, yeah, or put it up in the chat.
So shall I start off, Babu?
Yes,
then?
please,
Yeah.
please, Dhruv.
Yeah, I think it was an excellent session, and I think what you highlighted is that we need to define. I mean, the market is so vast, the type of investors are so many that we should segment whom we want to serve. So, I mean, rather than, the question was, how to choose. Maybe if you could, share that how what you mentioned, that you selected, say the middle-aged person. So if you could share, what, how you came to that sort of decision making, or what went into, focusing on that, and maybe that will give maybe some more insights to us.
Fair enough, absolutely. So, I was in the same boat, yeah, like many of you, and like I said, I did this topic because I went through the same challenge. Right? One morning, I'd wake up and see Facebook posts or WhatsApp messages saying that somebody in Ranchi did 100 SIPs in the morning, right? And I'd say, my God, what am I doing? Next day morning, take the bag and run. SIP. The next day, we'll come across somebody who onboarded 200 customers in a day. Then we say, no, SIP chodo, let's onboard 200 customers. But that doesn't work. It's what you want. So one of the things we did exercise about 2.5 years ago is to sit and decide what is the segment that we wanted to address our services to. So 2-3 things came very clear. We already had a certain business. We went back and said, which segment of the business looked reasonably interesting for us? Interesting for the customer as well. Right? So, and that segment happened to be in the 50 plus. Second, we found that by the time people had reached their 50s, they had seen a lot of advisors come, especially the bankers who's trying to sell insurance, and all of it is been. So he has no time. Right? He is trying to kind of the arbitrage for somebody in his 50s. It applies in my mind to all the people. Is that if you're 50 plus?
I think somebody's asking a question. I request everyone else to be on mute. Unless you want to ask a question. Yeah, Babu, continue.
Okay. Let me complete and happy to.
Yeah, then others can ask.
So beyond 50, we realized that there is an arbitrage between time and money, and people have very great clarity in this. If I provide value that helps him cut his time, then people are happy to kind of deal with us, and that's really the choice we went. We provide a lot of expertise. Our belief is that we provide great expertise, for which we wanted to kind of serve a certain client, and that helped
98140
and
49871.
It also is useful because 50 plus are also happens to be from a client size perspective a larger client. They don't have time for too many discussions, and they're very clear and about what they want. So a variety of these factors kind of helped us make that decision. That's what we've done.
A lot of disturbance. Can you put everybody on? There's too much disturbance. I think we unmuted everyone that has created.
People forgot that they have something called a mute button.
Ronald, have you put others on mute?
Yes, sir.
Still there's noise coming.
Yeah, just few more. I'm doing it.
Sorry for that, everyone.
No problem. So does that answer your question? I mean, there was a few breaks and kind of. So the final word is that 50 plus we realized an arbitrage between time and money. They have lots of money, very little time. We have our business is based on providing advice that saves time, and so it worked as a brilliant concept for both of us. And it's a segment that doesn't easily trust the bankers, so it also works to our advantage. So they've been through a lot of insurance selling, blah blah blah. So they want kind of individualized advice. So it works in all levels, and it was a brilliant piece for us.
Okay. And then would you also think, okay, when one is selecting, you gave the reason that in terms of time and the value, but also, most of us we are all individual, we start as entrepreneurs individually. And do you think that one's own temperament and personality, how one's own temperament and personality is in, selecting the customer segment? We say as the example that you gave, that if you are wanting to do work for, say, an HNI versus you want to work with retail, that is one way. So, your own personality, whether it is how important that is. Second, say, like you said, if you want to deal with, say, a doctor or a lawyer, or say a celebrity, what example you gave. So how important you think is, taking that factor that, you as a person, one should be aware that, what is the sort of segment that you would like to work with, you feel comfortable in working with.
So absolutely. I mean, so that's the base comfort, Dhruv. I completely agree with you, right? So unless you find comfortable in that segment, and all of us will have that before this exercise was done, we were into various places, like I was saying, and we were always finding that some segments we had great happiness doing work. Clients appreciated what we did and added great value. There were some segments where we were either not profitable or clients never appreciated what we did, so on and so forth. And we need to analyze why, right? Am I suited to that segment? Am I able to provide great value? And is the time and value that I'm providing valuable to the client and valuable to me, right? So there are people who are spending, 10,000 rupee SIP, come 4 times a month to your office and ask doubts and questions on that SIP. Is it profitable for me to answer that question? Or should I be dealing with somebody a little bit more profitable from that perspective, and also from my, personality wise? Absolutely. Yeah, Dhruv.
And
I don't know whether I've answered that question to the best, but a lot of this decision that I make on the basis of my gut or intuition, as this case may be. There may not be too much of analysis in this, so I'm not able to. I don't know whether I've articulated the way I should, but broadly, I would say personality is the first point at which you start, but you also look at your capabilities, your knowledge, your other things will all fall in place. It's not just one. Personality is very important, but personality, knowledge, your capability, your strength, all of it will fall in place. Right? Just as an example, just to add to this, right? So I also am part of another venture, and it's a fintech venture called Roundups. And I am not the main person there because it is targeted exactly at millennials. Right? So the CEO of that business and the primary driver of that business is a 24-year-old person.
Oh, wow.
So I don't drive that business. I only provide some kind of advice and support and so on and so forth. It's an app. It's a very interesting app because we understand that millennials aren't going to invest the way we invested or our age profile people invested. They're not even going to invest at all. They are going to trade, or they're going to do things that are fun for them to do. So this app is actually meant for spending money. It's not for investing. Investment is a byproduct. So it will round off all your spendings and invest that rounded change into investment products. That's what this is about. So for that business, the person suited to run the business is not somebody in my age profile. It's somebody at 22, 24 years who understands that profile of people. Right. Who has that temperament.
Yeah. Okay. So just, just to relate to what you said in terms of temperament, I thought maybe I can just share my earlier start of my career. As you said, one, you're hungry for a client, whoever comes knocking on your door, you're just so happy to take him, whatever be his profile, demographic. So I was, introduced to one, like not a celebrity, but in the film line, like a producer, so he's dealing with celebrities. And I found that, the nature of that, was very different to what I was used to. You have to go there, wait for a long time. He's out. They are uh, whimsical, in terms of temperament, they will call you and then suddenly he gets a call, say from Shah Rukh Khan, and he'll go out. And so for the first few months, I tried to, because I wanted the business, and then somewhere you realize, that maybe I'm not a good fit. And, over time, then that relationship drops off, because you're not gelling. But so then, the practice evolves. So when you were doing, while as you explained the rationale where you found the fit, was it also at that time a large portion of your practice was in that segment? It had evolved in that segment?
100%. I've had similar experiences. So I have reached out for we did some advice for Kamala Hassan. We did some advice for people like that. But like you rightly said, right? So my second meeting with Kamala Hassan, he pitched some movie for which he wanted funding from me, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm talking about 10 years ago, but I said there it's, it doesn't work for me. So one of the sweet segments that I've discovered is that, when dealing with some of these page 3 people and celebrities and so on and so forth, they don't have a direct connect to money. They don't look at money in some form as a need product. And for us, client, there is a need for they need to have a need for investments and so on and so forth. I discovered that very early. So today we have 5 segments of customers within this age profile of middle age. We look at people in the corporate world because they have a distinct need. At 50, you tap a corporate CEO, CTO, CXO. He knows that he has got a 5-7 year window within which he's got to make his money, because at 57, 58, sometimes 55, his contract is over, he's on the road. Right? He has to save, he has to invest, he has to kind of make himself financially independent. Plus doctors and that professional segment. Third, you have NRIs who have some money left back in India or who want to kind of come back to India eventually. And then you have these small and medium businessmen. And then last is, of course, people who are retiring. Even we've discovered one very interesting fact, Dhruv, that even people retiring from PSUs, right? So we have last few years, we've been talking to these PSU companies where people are retiring from after 20, 25 years or 30 years of service. They're all walking away with 2.5 crores, 3 crores and don't know what to do with it. Right? And somewhere even that segment is a large segment. But does it involve work? Absolutely. You can't sit back in your office and hope that they're going to reach out to you. So we do something called a 6-month. Every 6 months, we go to them and say, we're going to do a training program for all of your people who are going to retire. So we get to meet them, we talk to them, and the HR asks us, what do you want? I mean, should we pay you? We said, nothing, for free. We just want to promote good financial well-being, right? We go there, we tell. But what happens is at the end of 6 months, some of those people remember that you came and reach out to you when their retirement happens. Right? So that's how you need to build. You need to do something about it. Obviously, there's deciding that this is a segment I want to go after will not mean that monies will come back. You need that segmenting will only help you decide where you want to put your marketing time and money behind. And then you'll still have to work on it before it starts paying you. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. So very interesting. I think what you said, I think for all of us who are on the call, I think not only you segment, but I think you do your, what you said, financial awareness program or an investor awareness program. Absolutely. Or a seminar with a corporate like a PSU, but you're targeting that segment which you have chosen.
Exactly.
What you mentioned is targeting people who are retiring, or as you say, if you want to target the young people who have joined the organization in the beginning. So I think that's very interesting that I think all of us can see in our own current practice, where is the sweet spot of success that we all have achieved. And maybe, draw from there where each one of us has the strength the knowledge, the expertise, and the connect with what sort of customers we have.
And also, Dhruv, my sense is, every problem that we face is actually an opportunity. So every service that your client asks you can become a framework for serving future clients of that variety. Like I was telling earlier, doctors would call at the last minute to us. The auditor will be filing returns on the last day, and he will call the doctor. Doctor, aapka capital gain statement nahi aaya. Doc will call. He'll be in a surgery room. He'll say, Babu, my capital gains, have you sent it or not? Then we'll send it to the doctor. Doctor doesn't have time to mail it. So a lot of confusions. At the end, the chartered accountant will come up with a big bill, right? Advance tax pay nahi kiya hai, so you need to pay 1.5 lakhs as tax, and then you have to pay interest on this for 35,000 rupees. And then the doctor will say, why so much of interest? Yeah, and that guy will say, no, your financial advisor didn't give the statement earlier. That's why this. So the doctor turns around, boss, this one is market was down, I lost money, and then I'm paying interest on this as well. You realize that there's a problem. That problem you can convert into a beautiful opportunity. So we understood that doctors can't ask for these statements. Now we send it ourselves.
Okay.
Even before doctors ask, the chartered accountant has that advance tax. We tell him, have you computed, take the money from the doctor. I don't want any interest payment for capital gains or dividend or whatever earnings that these guys have. So that makes you a specialist in that space. If you do 10 items like this for each client segment, then you become a specialist. You become somebody that the doctor or anybody else feels, wow, this guy, every single time we meet an unsaid need of a client, your wow factor with that client will go up. And at some point, you become so valuable that if somebody comes and says direct, this, that, online, he says, no, yeah, I'm very comfortable with this. Right?
Okay. So I think there is another question which has come in. Is from Rajesh Minocha. He asks, when you get a reference from a trusted client and which may not fall in your segment, how do you refuse them?
That's a difficult question. I agree. It's difficult to. So one or two things, right? So like I was telling you, 99% of our clients are in our segment. 1% isn't in our segment. So one is to go ahead and fulfill that, because that's not something that you work for. Let's understand. All I'm asking you is work towards a certain segment. But if something comes your way, fulfill it. Nothing wrong, right? Because a father who's an industrialist, we are managing his money, big money. He says, my son is just getting started. He's just starting on a small salary, but I want you to get him started with some SIP. I can't say, no, my age profile is 50 plus. Your son is only 25. I can't handle him. But it's not something that I have worked for. I have not put my time and energy to acquire that client. That client has walked in. So do that. But gently also remind the person who's referring, just as you referred your son, can you refer a couple of your friends? That's something you can ask.
Right.
Which we
Turn
do.
it into an opportunity.
Absolutely. Hope that answers the question, Rajesh.
Yeah, I definitely think it does. And I can just add that I would urge all of you to look at the possibilities of collaboration. Because I think as IFAs, as Babu said, he's in the middle-age segment. And if somebody in Chennai is looking at only the young children, like he said, you can collaborate. And like I don't mind saying that when Rupa and I merged, our client profiles are quite different. Rupa has 60 or 70% as women clients.
Okay.
So you can segment that comes to you can refer to another friend, or you collaborate, or that's how as IFAs, we really are not competing with each other. And if a segment comes, where one is not comfortable, you can, give reference to one of your friends, and that way he will refer to your segment. So I think within our, we have people who are specialists in retirement, people who are specialists in terms of HNIs or SIPs. So that could be another option,
Absolutely. And
specialize in a segment.
you will see a lot of models emerging. And I think it's the way. See, at the end of the day, like I started with this, right? So we have only limited time, my friends. How do you do enough work in this limited time? 8, 10, 12 hours of work, 6 days a week. There's only limited time. In this, if you want to maximize, you've got to be very, very clear. All of us in our lifetime, I mean, if you're on the top of your game, if you're a single man show, you will be able to relate to about 500 clients at the most, right? But do you want 500 of them in different stratas, or do you want at least the maximum number of them of a similar variety? Then you can serve them better. Your organization knows what is needed, what needs to be done for them, how to serve them better. And like I said, how do you serve their unsaid needs? Said needs, people pick up the phone and calling you is passé, right? Everybody does that. But can you serve them even before they have thought about it? That's really the holy grail which we need to, my friends. And believe me, with all this online coming and so on and so forth, you need to get to that point where your client says, aha, my financial advisor takes care of my needs even before I have thought of them. Right? And that's really the holy grail for all of us to kind of be there. And then I can tell you, your practice will not just be, will not just be away from threats. It will actually thrive.
Right. So, Asit, do you have any questions, or I have done?
I think so. There are enough questions for me to answer for myself. Babu's got me all thinking all over. Reinvent the wheel, guys, and double your AUMs and your profits.
Yeah,
absolutely. It absolutely gets you back to your school books, re-understand, and I think so it gets more focused. I really appreciate Babu. You like it's a awakening call.
Thank you.
Amazing, guys. I think on behalf of all the members and Dhruv, and I really thanks a lot to you, Babu.
Sure.
Trust me, Babu can sell the invoice to each and every member who participate because they're going to double the money.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you, guys. All the best. Thank you for having me, Asit. Thank you, Dhruv. Wonderful being at FIFA. Like I said, I am also part of FIFA.
Thank you,
It's always
Babu.
a pleasure being here.
Thank you, Babu, for sparing your time and sharing your thoughts. Thank you so
It
much.
was a nice sharing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. And with that, we close the session. Thank you.
Have a lovely weekend, guys. Bye.
Babu. Bye-bye.